welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm back. I'm back. Hello. It's dull. It is dull. So, what did I want to talk about today? I'm actually really excited about this. So, this is one of those, I guess you could say, like shadow work or like looking into your childhood, but I'm really passionate about kids. I'm really passionate about keeping kids safe. So, specifically today, I wanted to talk about really allowing kids to have a voice, giving kids power, giving them authority over themselves. I particularly felt like being Nigerian, I didn't have a voice, I didn't have the space or freedom to be, and quite frankly, I say being Nigerian, but I know it's not just the Nigerian community. I've heard far too many stories from a diverse number of people from diverse communities just talking about this exact experience here of being kids and not having the power or the authority or the voice to be yourself. And so that's why I think this topic is important. That's why I know this topic is important. I have a daughter who is 3 years old, so I've been a mom for 3 years, and so I've definitely been my phone. It's my mom. Hi, mommy. Okay, I'm back. I spoke to my mommy. So, yeah, so I have a daughter who is 3 years old. So I've been a mom for about 4 years because you're pregnant and you're a mommy. From the minute you know you're pregnant, you become a mom. So I've been a mom for about 4 years, and I've been a daughter for 29 years. I'm 29 years old, and I have a mom as well. So I've really been intertwined in this relationship in really interesting ways for a long time. Being a kid myself, this is one of the topics that I've always, been passionate about because I was a kid and I was like, what's happening? Why is this not being fair? What's happening here? And so now I wanted to share it on YouTube, just some research I guess I've done on my own life, and I wanted to share it with you. When I had a kid and I was trying to figure out like what was happening and why she was reacting to certain things or crying for certain things, and because to me it was bigger than like, oh, I'm hungry, or oh, I need to poop, or oh, I don't want this, or oh, I don't want that. Like I understand that they don't want those things, or they do want those things, and that's how they react or communicate at times. But I'm like, it's a bit bigger than that, right? Like it can't just be that. And so in doing my research, I found out that kids actually that want power. Like there is a power struggle between adults because kids want at a certain age, at a certain point, and really I think from the very beginning they want the ability to say or to dictate what they want, what they need, and to be able to communicate that. And so that was really actually eye-opening for me because I honestly didn't believe kids had any like desire or wants or needs. Sure, I know I'm a new mom, but even just in general thinking about it, and I don't think a lot of people know that. I think a lot of people think kids are really just like robots who don't know how to control themselves. Like, but it's like they actually have genuine desires and needs. There is a power struggle inwards. There becomes a power struggle if you don't like respond to it appropriately. But ultimately, what I wanted to say, and one thing that I noticed from my upbringing was it felt like I was trying to figure things out. Like I was trying to do the best that I can. Like I was plucked onto this earth, and then I was trying to do the best that I can to figure things out. Like, oh, what's this? Oh, what's that? And then before I could get there, someone's like, "Duh, that's bad." And I'm like, wait, what happened? What was bad? Wait, tell me, explain it. I think that's the key there. No one explains to kids. That is the thing. So I felt like I went through a lot of my childhood just being like, yeah, trying to figure things out, trying to understand what was happening. And every time I tried to look, or every time I made a mistake, or every time I did it differently, not wrong, differently, instead of there being an open door of communication, so that there was an understanding, there was really more discipline, like straight to discipline, and there was like, or just ignoring, because you didn't matter. So yeah, I felt like that didn't feel right for me. And that was one of my, um, in a way, it was a guiding light for me because I'm like, okay, I recognize that I'm not really doing anything wrong here, but people are kind of acting funny. So, that's weird. So I didn't really blame myself or really try to internalize it too much. I tried to forgive and let go as much as I could because I recognized that, yeah, I think they're just sort of reacting in a way that, even though it doesn't make sense to me, clearly it makes sense to them. So, it's hard being a kid. Kids are living in their own reality that is very real, that is very strong, just like the ones that adults live in. Like a heartbreak for a kid is a heartbreak. It's the same for an adult. It's heartbreaking because, like, when you love something and you lose it, it's the same for a toy. And heartbreak is heartbreak, whether or not you are 5 or you are 50. It can't. It's heartbreak is heartbreak. Um, and so because you're the one facing it in your own little bubble of reality, and so I think really the same rule in a sense that I think applies to kids, I think applies to everyone. It's just understanding that everyone is living in their own little reality, and it's just so real, it's so real that their reaction has to be real, and you just have to respect that and find ways to navigate it as opposed to demonizing it, as opposed to punishing it, as opposed to disciplining it. Is just really finding ways to understand because it's always deeper than that. One thing I always say though, I think I actually have this sort of like thought or belief that like we have kids to reflect who we are so that we can learn to be better versions of ourselves. Like until like I wonder, right, if humans were to finally figure out themselves and figure out who they were and figure out peace and harmony, they would continue to procreate at the rate that they do. I really believe that it is our responsibilities as adults to be as calm, centered, and balanced as possible because that is the only way we can, our kids, our society, our future can reflect that. I understand that as adults, we are literally the same as kids in that we were plucked onto this planet. We don't know what's happening and we're just trying to figure it out. And so we're just making these decisions and trying to plan it out for ourselves, but we don't know what's happening. But we keep going and we just keep doing the same thing. So I understand the sort of cycle of it all. But I think if anyone can play a big role in breaking that cycle, it can be adults because we have the most power in society. It's weird saying we. I'm like, am I an adult? Am I a kid? I don't know where I fall. Like, I still kind of feel like a kid, but like, I'm definitely an adult too, right? Like, I'm an adult. At 29, I'm an adult. Even now, when raising my daughter, I oftentimes, and my brother is with me for a short period of time, and when interacting with him, and well, not just because he's staying with me, but even my other brother who's not staying with me, when interacting with the two of them and seeing what their experiences are like, it's really just in my mind going back and tapping into that version of myself that is the same age as them, that is experiencing that, so that I'm able to understand what they're going through, so that I'm not reacting just as a 29-year-old mom of 3 who's a wife and a this and a that. I'm also reacting as a 15-year-old high schooler or a 21-year-old male, like not male, 21-year-old university. That's what I was thinking. But really, it's the idea of finding different versions of yourself and tapping into different versions of yourself so that you have a better understanding of the person, the individual, the entity. I say entity, but I also think thing as well. But like really just thinking how do you want to be treated, and really just treating others that way. And in order to do that, sometimes you have to tap into yourself and the different versions of yourself that exist within yourself. So if my daughter comes out later at a certain age and wants to talk about like birth control, and maybe as a mom I'm just like, oh, my baby wants to talk about birth control. But then I can also think of myself as I don't know, a 12-year-old girl and think, what could I have been thinking at that point? And why would I have been thinking birth control? And really, I think at the end of the day, it's not about not finding ways to teach your child, not finding ways to discipline your child. It's about finding a balance and about finding a method that works for your child. So it's about parenting the child and not just, so it's about paying attention to the child that you have and what they need and not just imposing your trauma, imposing your beliefs, imposing your everything. It's not about imposing, it's about showing, allowing to communicate back, taking that feedback loop and really creating a safe space where there is a feedback loop and trusting that, and you've got to respect your kid. Like at the end of the day, like it's just funny to me because when my daughter is like, I don't want to go to bed, I don't want to go to bed, I can't do it, no bed, no, you know, in a way I feel her, because if I were doing the right thing, I would have been in bed with her, because that's the time I should be in bed as well, because that's how much sleep I technically want. But for different reasons that are really on a scale of what is important are not important, I stay up and I keep doing them, whether it's something like doing social media or something like just doing things that are really almost insignificant. Right? Sometimes I use the time for significant things, but sometimes I don't. And there's times where I should be asleep and I don't sleep. There's times where I should be awake and I'm not awake. And if you were to come and wake me up, I would be like, that's how I would feel inside. So it's the idea that kids are very real and honest and raw with their emotions. And I understand that it can be quite intense for adults who have learned to suppress those emotions. But as adults, we equally have the same emotions. Like sometimes I want to throw a tantrum. Oh, I remember one of my toughest times was when I graduated university and I was ready to leave the house. Like I was ready and I couldn't leave. And then my mom was like, oh, like you can't date this boy and you can't date him, like you can't do this and you can't do that and you can't date him like that. And I'm just like, I've graduated from university. What do you mean? And so that was driving me crazy. I would literally throw tantrums in my room alone. I'd be like, oh, because I was so frustrated at like because I felt stuck. But yeah, like when I was that frustrated, I would be like, oh, like I would feel that frustrated, like, oh, why can't I get out of here? I just want to get out of here. I'd be on the bed like, There are certain circumstances that have led me to do that, which kids just happen to do it more often, just happen to do it more frequently. Right now, it's very important to me, my partner and I, in our relationship with our daughter, that we lead by example. And one of the key things that we do not do and that we refrain greatly from doing is using anger, reacting with anger, raising her with anger, punishing with anger. If it's done in anger, we're not doing it. we're just not doing it. Like, because I just look at this innocent being who's literally trying to figure out the world just as I am. How dare I react in anger as she tries to understand certain things? And I think, and we've been doing an amazing job. Like, oh my God, I'm so proud of us. Like, we do not yell at her. We do not spank her. We do not, like, if there's something that needs to be communicated, like when she cries, like one thing right now is that she uses tears to communicate a lot. So she'll just, if something drops, instead of like picking it up, she'll be like, she's 3. And so we tell her, Thea, use your words to communicate, please. Use your words, please. But then I realized it's not enough to say use your words, please, because she don't know the words. She's like, what you mean, mama? She don't even know those words. But instead, I tell her, Thea, please pick it up, or say, oh, I dropped something. Or please say, oh, mommy, I dropped something. I want to pick it up. Or I say, Thea, please pick that up. In addition to saying, Thea, we do not use tears to communicate. If you have something to say, please try to communicate it in different ways. So it's really, and I also do allow her to cry, and I totally understand when tears are necessary. And sometimes when they're not necessary, but you just got to let it out. And that's one thing I do too. I just let it out. I mean, it's COVID time too, and we're just sitting there. So if you want to cry, if you need to let it out, I'm also a crier. I enjoy it. I feel like it's a great release. Like after I cry, I'm like, what do we need? What are we doing today? Like, that's how I feel. It feels very refreshing. I cry for, I use that to express a lot of my emotions, and it just feels great for me. Um, so yeah, sometimes I'm like, if that's what you need, you go ahead and you do that. And if that's not what you need, if it's not something that, if you're really truly trying to communicate and you just couldn't because you lack the ability to, then let's try to find different ways to help you out there instead of hitting you or being upset or being angry. So we try to go in peace. We try to come in peace. This has been so much fun. As per always, I feel purged after. That's literally how I feel. I feel like I've purged some of like my thoughts and feelings, and it feels great to get it out there. And I've just been informed of how important this is because the message that I put out there, the words that I put out there, they echo back forever. They echo through you, they echo through me and my own thoughts. So it's very important that they're positive. Very. Okay. Thank you so much. This is great.